You ever get that feeling, that nagging sense that something's just a little bit off with the way our world is run? Well, that's pretty much the starting point for Carmelo Ferlito's book, Hermeneutical Political Economy. And let me tell you, it's a powerful challenge to pretty much everything we think we know about economics, governance, and even society itself.
At the very heart of that unease is this one big question. Is society just some giant machine that needs fixing? I mean, think about it, right? So many of our modern systems feel completely impersonal, like they're run by algorithms instead of actual human judgment. This book is all about asking us to stop and question that entire approach.
And get this, the book argues that the real conflict today isn't about left versus right. No, it's something way, way deeper. It's a battle between intellectual humility, admitting the limits of what we can actually know, and this thing called the pretence of knowledge, which is the super dangerous belief that we can measure, predict, and control, well, everything.
Okay, so what is this great intellectual divide all about? At its core, it's about a fundamental shift that's happened in modern economics. The whole field has kind of drifted away from trying to understand how humans cooperate and moved toward trying to control how they cooperate.
And this gets us right to the central problem Ferlito identifies, what he calls a great confusion. We've completely blurred the line between explaining the world and commanding it. It's like we've mistaken being a weather forecaster who explains the weather with thinking we can actually control the weather. We've confused knowing with doing.
So how does this great confusion actually play out inside economics? Well, it forces us to ask a really basic question. Is the economy just a system we're supposed to optimize with data? Or is it a complex, messy, human reality that maybe we should try to understand first? And here you see two totally competing visions. The one that's dominant today treats economics like a technology, like a toolbox for managers to hit their quarterly targets. But the alternative, the one this book is all about, sees it as a discipline of interpretation, a way of understanding how free, creative people actually manage to work together.
The key concept for this is a German term, Verstehen. It means a deeper kind of understanding. It's not about watching people from the outside like a scientist watches particles in a lab. It's about trying to grasp the meaning behind what someone does from their point of view. It's a reminder that we aren't just variables in some spreadsheet. We're people who interpret our world and give it meaning.
This all leads to an absolutely crucial point. Economic life is meaningful before it can ever be measured. Think about it. Markets, prices, all these institutions, they aren't just data points. They're social things, created by our beliefs, our hopes, our expectations. The meaning comes first, the measurement comes second.
Now, if you accept that economics is really about meaning, well, that completely flips the script on how we should think about public policy. The big question then becomes, how do we act responsibly in a world that's fundamentally uncertain? A world that we can never, ever fully know or control.
This leaves us with two starkly different paths. On one path, you have policy as social engineering, using algorithms, trying to optimize everything and get rid of all uncertainty. But the other path brings back this classical idea of policy as an art. The goal isn't control. It's about cultivating the right conditions, things like trust and stability, that let people discover their own solutions.
And the central virtue for this art has another great name, this time from ancient Greek, phronesis. It basically means practical wisdom. It's the ability to act responsibly in real-world situations without pretending you have all the answers. It's about exercising good judgment, not claiming you have absolute control.
So once you make this shift in your perspective, it totally transforms how you see the basic building blocks of a market economy. You start to ask, are markets just cold, calculating machines? Or are they something more alive, something more like a giant, ongoing conversation? Let's make this real. Take something simple, like the price of tin. Let's say a mine closes somewhere on the other side of the world. Do you need to know why? Nope. The price of tin goes up, and that price itself is like a single sentence in a global conversation. It communicates one simple, powerful message to everyone, everywhere. Hey, tin is scarcer now. And that one signal, just the price, coordinates the actions of millions of people, all without a single person being in charge. Prices speak long before they calculate. And what about entrepreneurs? We usually just think of them as people who spot an opportunity, but the book says it's way more profound. It's an ontological act. That's a fancy way of saying an entrepreneur doesn't just find a gap in the market, she actually creates something brand new by seeing the world differently. She's inserting a new piece into the fabric of reality. So what's the downside? What happens when we ignore all this meaning and just try to govern by numbers alone? Well, the consequences are pretty severe. Human judgment gets replaced by algorithms. Responsibility gets replaced by systems. Power becomes totally faceless. You end up in a world where, as the book warns, decisions are made but no one actually decides, and injustice can continue but with no one to hold accountable.
Look, at the end of the day, the stakes here are incredibly high. This isn't just some dusty academic debate. We're talking about a fundamental civilizational choice between two completely different ways of organizing our entire society. Let's just lay it all out side by side. On one side, you've got the technocratic vision. The economy is machined to be engineered, the goal of policy is control, and people are just variables in a model. But on the other side, you've got the interpretive vision. The economy is a living process, policy is about cultivating good conditions, and people are subjects who create meaning. The core virtues just couldn't be more different. It's control versus humility.
And this brings us to what might be the single most powerful warning in the whole book. The most dangerous confusion of our time is mistaking management for governance. See, management is about optimizing a system, making the trains run on time. But governance, that's about deciding where the track should go in the first place. We're substituting technical skill for real governance.
Which leaves us with one final, really provocative question to think about. What do we actually want? Do we want a society that is perfectly managed, totally optimized, and controlled by systems? Or do we want a society that's maybe a little less predictable, a little messier, but one that preserves space for human judgment, for creativity, and for profound meaning? The choice, as this book argues, is ultimately ours to make.